A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello everybody, lovely to see you. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I'm very pleased to be able to welcome Dr. Anthony de Pontes. Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
Good morning, Mary. Very good to be here again.
It's lovely to see you. What are we going to talk about today?
You know, I'm a bit of a nerd, but let's just talk about some natural medicine. Sounds good to me. It's always good to me. If I'm happy, if I'm sad, that's the thing to talk about. That's the passion that just keeps going for me.
Absolutely.
And you know what the thing is? I get so passionate about it because I feel like there's so much stuff to learn, so much information to give, and the general person, they know like an inch of what is out there. You know, it's not so easily exposed, and the information is out there. So that's brilliant, and I hope this podcast can just really get some stuff out there, and that they can see the passion, and more importantly, because people are mostly, especially in the Western world, they're very much into the medical model, okay, and so they lulled into the normality of that, and I want to show them there is other options that they can go for.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's not often we get that opportunity to be thinking, well, what actually is natural medicine? What is natural and what is medicine? What is our own healing system? And surely that must be natural. And where, of course, did it all come from?
Yeah, you talk about that. I think that's where the blur is. You know, people just use the word natural just willy-nilly. Oh, it's natural. But if we look at it, as far back as the Bible, the Lord says, I give you the plants of the field for your food and the herbs of the field for your medicine. Right back there. And then if you want to come closer to us, we look at these plants, and actually 40% of pharmacy started with the plant. So if you take aspirin, okay, that's the willow bark, okay, for your aches and pains. If you take valerian, they make Xano out of it, anti-anxiety, okay, that's from the valerian root. And then our good old friend Hahnemann, he was doing medical translation work, and he saw the link between the symptoms of malaria and of the cinchona bark and the symptoms that produced if you took that, the toxicology. And that's how homeopathy was born. And that's malaria prophylaxis. So everything comes from nature, And so that's where we kick off. And that is the start,
And of course, if we take it right back in time, where we were eating the things that we could find, hunter-gathering, and then realized that right back from the beginning of time, we knew that if we had an upset stomach, we needed to find this herb, or we needed to find that nut, and we needed to understand that if we ate too much of that mushroom, this happened. If we did, and really, so we've got thousands and thousands of years of experience of knowing what our body needs. But I feel that with Western medicine, it's taken us away from all of that knowledge.
It's taken and it's put the spotlight, like you say, on Western medicine, and it's almost like disowned or made natural therapeutics of zero accord. And if I explain or share the story with you of the birth of modern pharmacy, it started in the early 1400s, and it's based on the discovery of oil in the late 1800s, where John Paul Getty from the States, they discovered this oil. Now they've got to find ways to use it. Then they find out that you can make synthetic vitamins from oil, and through organic chemistry, you can make medication, okay? And it's really a business, maybe. So now they had to change things around, and they had to get this so you could patent it, so you could make money from it, okay? So he sent Dr. Flexner out, who derived from his travels what they call the Flexner report. So he went around the USA, checking the lay of the land and what was going on there. And, you know, he basically found that there were 22 homeopathic medical schools. There were homeopathic pharmacies. There were about was it 100 or so homeopathic hospitals? Okay. Now, you know, I think in the UK now there's maybe one left. Okay. So this was as you're talking about, from all the years they had built this up, and because he wanted to get his money going with the pharmacy, he got this Flexner report done, and basically they suggested that we move more towards a laboratory and a more scientific and evidence-based movement, okay? And he kind of made it that all these natural therapeutics were, can I say, like dogma and just more like magic, okay?
Yeah.
So now he's trying to make everything more scientific.
Yes.
But he goes far as to offer these medical schools grants and bursaries and funding if they just followed the allopathic model. So you can imagine it all disappeared, right? But the worst thing of it all is from that, they developed the American Medical Association. And that is the only route that you can go through to do medicine or to prescribe medicine, and they regulate everything. They grant the medical licenses and everything. So, I mean, it's a beautiful system if you from that point of view. Okay?
Exactly.
Well,
and we certainly know that in the UK, all of the degrees and to train as a doctor is all funded by the pharmaceutical companies. So it makes sense that the doctors are only learning about the pharmaceuticals that are being created in the people that are funding their training. And we know that continues through with their annual continued practice learning. That's all paid for by the pharmaceutical companies. We know that everything along the whole line is funded by the pharmaceutical companies. So it makes sense that, you know, they will be encouraging them to use, you know, whatever it is that they're producing. And of course, they're not necessarily doing it for themselves. They're doing it for the shareholders. The shareholders need the money. You know, the whole idea and the emphasis is on shareholders. And it's worth pointing out just at this point that homeopathy cannot have that certificate, can it? So only one person can make it. I'm not sure why that is the case.
So it's like this: they can patent it because they've taken the process and they've, I call it, specialized it, or that's the type of thing. But you can't patent a natural medication. Okay. I can go into the garden and get that herb or whatever. So there's no patent possible. So actually, I can't really make money on it. Okay. Or if I do sell it, but my neighbor can also go and grow parsley and sell it. Yes. So that's the thing. But you know, that can also be seen as a benefit. There's no, because I see today everything is business and everything is, listen, let's see how much I can make and how I can exclude everybody else so I can get my funding. Okay.
Yes.
So it's like a balancing act for nature. And if you look at nature, that's how it goes. It's always balanced. If something gets too much, then it'll start to destroy itself and it comes back to normal. So I don't see that as a problem, but maybe in the Western way of thinking and the Western models, lots of people have this perception of, oh, yeah, you know, you don't have to really be so trained to be a homeopath, or if you're a doctor, you're very highly trained and you are specialized and you are trained very much, but you're trained in a very narrow field, okay?
Yes.
Like I say to the people, if you want to go and get a cancer diagnosis, go to your oncologist. They are so amazingly precise at diagnosing cancer, but they can't treat cancer effectively. Okay, so you must choose. How do they say you must choose your poison? Is that the saying that they use? And then you go for it, or you choose how you want to approach things, and then follow that principle through.
Yes, that's right. And we often say that with homeopathy or other natural medicines, it's not about getting a diagnosis. We haven't got the tests and, the same things. We can't replace that at all, just as we don't replace having an operation. That physical interaction cannot be replaced with a natural medicine. So choose what you're taking and where you're taking it from.
Absolutely. So let me add on a bit to this, and this is what I call the paradigms. What paradigm are you basing your healthcare on, or your life on, so to speak? And so, the glaring ones are the medical paradigm. Okay, I'm quite happy with going to my GP or the medical paradigm and getting whatever they're giving me. And for lots of people, let's face it, that works. What do they say? Horses for courses. No problems there. But I want to talk to you about two paradigms that are glaring and maybe opposite. If I can use an analogy, and I think this is all around the world. You say Apple and you say Android. Okay, or you say Apple and Android, or Apple and Microsoft, or Vodacom and whatever the other provider is. Are you with me? So now here in medicine you have the same thing. It's called the germ theory and the terrain theory, and these guys are at war, so to speak. And the guy that's winning right now is the germ theory in this medical model. And the germ theory was developed by Louis Pasteur. Okay, and he said the germ is everything. You've got to fight the germ. You've got to, look at that germ, and if you get rid of that germ, you're going to get rid of disease. Okay, and that's what a lot of medicine is based on, and that's why they prescribe so many antibiotics. Okay, you've got that staphylococcal infection. We're going to give you the antibiotic. So in a way, that kind of makes sense. And to the untrained mind, yes, that sounds good, and that's good science. Okay. Then at the same time, his contemporary was Antony Béchamp, I think it was. He said, no, it's not that way. He said, you've got this terrain theory, and the terrain is everything. And basically what we're saying here is, if your immune system is strong, you're going to overcome all of these things. And so you will still have that germ there, but it's not going to be too much effect. If I look at the example of, in a community of, let's say, 10,000, there is 500 policemen and there's one criminal. That criminal is not really going to affect the community. Okay, that's how we can explain this terrain theory. Okay, yeah. So by boosting the immune system, you're fine. Another example, maybe more practical, I can give. I say, Mary, both you and I are in a room, and then some guy comes in. He's delivering something to us, and he's got COVID, and he coughs on us. Okay, mm-hmm. And I get sick, but you don't get sick.
Yeah.
The germ theory cannot explain that. But your immune system is stronger. You laugh at that COVID and your lymphocytes and go in and destroy that, and you carry on with your day as if nothing has happened. So it's these two paradigms that are at odds. And from a natural perspective, if you take all the scientific data and you analyze it properly, you will come out to the terrain theory. Plus the fact that Louis Pasteur, on his deathbed, he said, yes, actually, the terrain theory is the winner, or the optimum thing to go to.
And of course, it's been proven, hasn't it, through time. Every time we have a pandemic or a disease, some people suffer, some people don't suffer. Some people suffer in one way, some people suffer in a different way. So our immunity has everything to do with how we're going to absorb and take or keep away that infection.
100%, 100%. So if I talk about, let's talk about the average person, okay? I call that average person Mr. Average. So And this is what I see so often in my practice. And let me tell you, my practice is a natural medicine practice. So actually that's biased to begin with, because the regular person is just going to go to the GP or the medical model. Okay. But say Mr. Average comes in. Now they will say they've got average health, average emotions, average energy, so to speak. Okay, these type of things. And these people are okay with that. They're not like, I have to have this optimum health or this amazing energy. They are satisfied with this average. Okay. So it's fine. There's no great shakes there. Now you only realize the importance of your health when you lose it. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I don't have to eat so well. Oh, I don't have to do so much exercise. Oh, if I take this drug for a little bit, it's fine. It actually made me feel better for a little bit of time. It's average, But when they lose their health, that's when it's a big problem. If I give you the example, I say to you, oh, I've got my arthritis. Now here's Mr. Average. He'll go to the doctor, okay, maybe get prescribed some cortisone or a cortisone shot, and heals up pretty soon. But maybe a couple of months later, he has to have it again. Oh, well, it's not too difficult. It's not too uncomfortable. I'll just go and get some more. But here's the crux. He doesn't realize that maybe 1 year down the line, 3 years down the line, his adrenals are infected. He's feeling depressed. He's got blood sugar problems. He doesn't relate it back to what us as homeopaths would call palliation or suppression. Okay. And maybe rightly so. He hasn't been taught that. And this is what I want to bring across to people. But this is, again, not if you miss the average. If you're wanting that optimum health, Mary, if I look in your eyes and say, wow, you've got that glint in your eyes, or you've got that lovely sheen to your face, or you've got that joy in your heart, those are all factors that look to optimum health. Okay. So many people today are so burdened down by life that they can only be Mr. Average. They're battling just to be Mr. Average, you see. So here's the other thing, and sometimes I find that patients, maybe especially because they're used to the medical model, only when I'm sick, I go to the doctor. Okay. Now these bloody homeopaths, they want me to see them every month, and on and on and on. But there's a reason to that. We're wanting to raise their vital force.
Yes.
We're wanting them. So if we take that back to the terrain theory, we're wanting them to be vital and strong through winter, through summer, if there's a flu going around, whatever, just to keep going. And to do that, you've got to keep stimulating that vital force. In China,
maintaining health.
That's it. It's a job to do it. But I think the rewards are really amazing if you can keep that health there. In China, you don't pay your doctor if you're sick. You pay him to keep you healthy. So it's a different way of looking at it. It's a different paradigm. So going back to, you don't realize your health or the importance of it until you lose it. I was talking to you about that person who had arthritis, and he'll just take this cortisone. But now, let's say he's crippled or he's paralyzed. He can't walk around his garden. He can't walk to the shops. That's when the penny drops. And as homeopaths, and keeping the health vitality levels up there, we're working tirelessly every day, or you see your homeopath every 2 months, because maybe, let's face it, we're not just looking at your physical body where your joint is painful. We're looking at your emotional interactions. I'm so angry with that person. I'm holding that anger. I've got that resentment because that happened. That has huge implications to our, if you want to look at to our physiological body, okay? Causes the stiffness and the resentment. So there's emotional connections to your physical body. And the Mr. Average does not realize that that's what we're looking at also. We're not just looking at, the joint is stiff or it's deformed or something like that, okay? And that is so important. If I can pull on some experiences in my clinic and say it like this: when we're looking at a patient, I'm looking for cure. And we know in homeopathy, maybe cure is not always possible. Okay, we've got to raise that vital force. Now, when you go to the medical model, they're looking for disease management.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but if you look at it from the perspective of everybody almost that goes that model has got chronic medication that they're on.
Yes.
Oh, here's some cholesterol medication, here's some blood sugar medication, some thyroid medication. Oh, don't worry, Mary, you're going to be on that for the rest of your life. And Mr. Average just accepts it. That makes sense. I've got high cholesterol. Not, why the hell do I have high cholesterol? Let me try and sort that out. Do you know what I mean? So they've been lulled into this thing of, hey, I'm quite forward thinking. I'm taking the medication for my high cholesterol. So I really can't blame them, but I feel like shaking them and saying, listen, use your common sense. You weren't born with a cholesterol excess or blood sugar deficiency and that you need that drug. It's all how your body interacts. And remember, I said it's your emotions and your physical that makes you. As I'm sitting here and I look at you, Mary, yes, there's a physical structure of a female looking back at me. But you've got an emotional body, a spiritual body. You get happy, you get sad, you get angry, all of these things. And it's processing it out and making sure that your vital force, your life force, is moving forward all the time. And I suppose I put it quite nicely there, but there's so many things that you have to take into account. It's not just, oh, have you got a cough? Okay, take this medication. There's so much that goes into it, and if people only knew. I had a patient came on for a 15-minute this week. He said, I like homeopathy. I've been reading up. He says, I can't do it. It's a very difficult job. You've got to do this and this and this and this. And I actually never saw it that way. It flows from me because I've been doing it for so long. But it's true. And the more people can start looking at these things and noticing what do we call it? The essences of why their body is getting sick or getting healthy. Remember, this blueprint of yours is designed to be healthy. Okay? So.
And just even the questions that we're asking ourselves with homeopathy allows people to learn more about the symptoms, doesn't it? It allows them to question their symptoms and question their lifestyle as well, question the food that they're putting in their bodies, thinking that this might be useful to their bodies, because that's what food is, isn't it? It's just fuel for our different systems to do different things. Is it really fuel, or is it just not really food at all? I think food ought to come with a definition, what actually it is, because we've just got so far away from that, haven't we?
And the thing is, we're so far away from it, but Mr. Average doesn't realize it. No. I'm going to the shops to get food. And he assumes that food is good, nutritious food. Yeah. So I see the vegetable there, and that's what I assume. And because of the food practices, the pesticides, the GMOs, that food might look good, but what it does in your body is not so good.
Yeah, and even the fact that it might have traveled all the way across the world. How old was that food when you're eating it? How much nutritional value does it still have in it?
Yes, 100%. If I can talk a bit about, I'll call her Mr. or Mrs. Average again. And these are actually people who are come and they see themselves as, hey, I use natural medicine, and I don't dispute it. They do. Okay, we see on H247 all these followers they've got the homeopathic kit and they're getting involved in doing natural medicine, and they're doing wonders. They're changing their mindset from that when you are pulled and you just follow like a sheep. Okay, yes. They're starting to think and they're starting to see, okay, I take this homeopathy that is not giving me side effects and I start to get the benefits. Okay, but here's the thing, and this is just due to lack of education, or maybe I'm put it the other way around. It's due to a lot of propaganda that's being put out. So they'll say to me very proudly, they'll say, oh, no, I do natural medicine. I don't like antibiotics. But last year I had to take antibiotics because I got a flu and the doctor said I had to take antibiotics. Or I've got this urinary tract infection and I just had to take antibiotics. But I don't like doing it. So let me say this. Antibiotics we all know it's a life-saving modality. But you really only need it in emergency, life-threatening situations. Yeah. You can come out of a UTI. You can come out of a flu without using antibiotics. But the mindset change, okay? And the fear that the patient might feel like, oh, you've got a serious flu, you better take these antibiotics from the doctor, because the doctor doesn't know what you can do with homeopathy. Also, as we spoke about the education, and if that patient has been under a homeopath for a couple of months, maybe years, their vitality is up. So even though they get the UTI, the right homeopathic medication is going to throw that off. They don't need the antibiotic. Okay?
Yes.
And the result of that is that they don't have that 6 to 9 month bowel issue because it's decimated the gut microbiome.
It's so important, isn't it, for people to understand those choices and also understand that when they go to the doctor doesn't have any choice. He's only got antibiotics to give you. He doesn't understand. He hasn't used the homeopathic remedies. But as you use homeopathy more, you will be learning which homeopathic remedies are really good for you and your UTI symptoms.
100%. 100%. So let me talk a bit about the natural law. When I say natural, I'm talking about nature, and our bodies are designed off nature. You know, our bodies are made in the likeness and image of our creator, and we are in this environment called nature. Actually, we've bastardized out because we're in 21st century now. We've got all this EMFs, and we are inside. We are not grounded to the ground where our body's able to release those electrons, or gather electrons, should I say. And so we are actually under stress so much of the time. If you're living in a city, I suppose that's why you like to be out in the country. Or you know what we say, oh, I'm going on holiday, I'm going to be by the sea, or I'm going to relax there. The reason that you relax so much more is because you are exposed to the elements. That is in line with your body.
Okay.
The other things that we need as a human species, we need to feel useful. We need to have a purpose. Okay. I'm just woken up and I don't know what I'm going to do today, or I don't interact with anyone. I just sit here alone in my house. That is soul destroying. Okay. That's going to bring your health down. So we need these social ties. We need to feel like we have a purpose. Okay. I'm going out and I'm going to give a podcast today to help people, or whatever it is, you know. But people don't. We haven't been brought up to know how our user manual works. So if I use the example of you buy a new car and it comes with a user manual, it tells you how often you have to service it, how hard you pump the tires, all of these things. And you do that and your car's going to run for a long, long time. Well, we've actually also got a user manual, and it's found in nature. And the plant for the medicine, the sunlight, the good sleep, all of these things. And one of our colleagues, Dr. Constantine Herring, he was one of the first homeopaths. He saw this and he developed those laws, Herring's law of cure. Okay, so he had a look and he saw, wow, when this happens to the patient, they get better. When that happens, they get worse. And he developed these laws which says, healing occurs from within out, from a more important organ to a less important organ, things like that. So I use that a lot in my clinic to try and help the patients and to show them. And if I can just use these examples on you, Mary, and I hope and pray that you answer properly. Okay. Okay. So we talk about the disease moving from a more important organ to a less important organ. Say to you, Mary, when you come to see me, you had eczema all over your face and your neck. Okay, that's the one situation, and we treat you homeopathically, and it goes away there, but it comes on your baby finger.
Yeah.
Which scenario is better?
Oh, the baby finger. Furthest away from my organs.
That's it. So perfectly according to Herring's law of cure. Okay, so that was a physical example I gave you. Now here's another example. Mary, you've got the choice. You can be chronically depressed your whole life, or you can have eczema on your baby finger. Which are you going to choose?
Oh, I choose the eczema on the baby finger again, I think.
Absolutely. So as we can see, the emotional importance or the strength of an illness on the emotional level affects you a lot more than the physical. That's why you'll choose the one that's affecting you next.
Yeah.
And that Herring's law, it's got so many things. And as a homeopath, that's what you look at. So, I mean, especially with skin conditions, the person comes in and they've got that skin condition and it's taking a long time to heal and it's itchy and they're thinking like, no, let me do homeopathy, let me just go and get that cortisone. Okay. You can explain to them, listen, it was on your face and now it's only on your baby finger. we're moving towards cure. Okay,
Yes.
we've just got to rouse the vital organ or whatever it is, detoxify that, or and you can get them to follow through. And so often they'll look back in whatever the time frame is and say, "Oh, thank God, I did stick with it, and I've got no eczema." And so they've taken this Hering's law of cure, and maybe I'd say they've improved on it, or they've gone more in depth with it. And this is the company Heal, which has taken these principles and improved on it in respect to with increased scientific discovery, they've used the metabolic processes in the body where you'd say the kidney would break down crystals or the liver would break down hormones. Okay? And they've got these heal remedies, they're homeopathic remedies that eliminate the toxins from the body in that process. So from above down, from within out. And so you can also track it like that. It's really amazing. If someone has, going back to that example of the person that had arthritis and they've been given a cortisone shot, you give the homeopathic cortisone. It limits the illness, it limits the side effects, it stimulates the body to overthrow that and gain its health. It's just absolutely amazing. And you have to have used it, because I can fully see how that if you're not used to homeopathy, come on, it's, what do they say? There's hardly any substance in there. How can it do anything? Because they are so used to, oh, this is a very strong antibiotic, or this is a very strong Schedule 6 drug. But it's a totally different paradigm we're working on. But this paradigm is so amazing because it is a paradigm that is linked with our body. It's the user manual to our body. And that's why it works so amazingly. And so amazingly with chronic disease. And that, especially in my practice, is where most of the problems are coming from. People aren't suffering so much from acute disease. It's the chronic diseases that are the ones that are difficult. Oh, I've had this arthritis for years, or I've had this depression for years. You know what? There is an answer. Is it going to be a 2-minute job? Probably not. But if you are convinced and you are determined, and that is the thing that gets you to grow. Mary, if I just came and gave you £1 million once a year, would you work very hard? Not a chance. You wouldn't strain your brain. Well, I know I'm getting the money next year. Yes. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's the same with your health. You're going to be looking for all the answers, and you discover not just about your health, you discover about what makes you tick, what makes you happy. So many people today have suppressed their emotions down. I think I'm happy, but they're not really, because of things that have happened. And that's where homeopathy, there's nothing that can touch homeopathy from the emotional sphere of how it changes our perceptions. Okay.
That's right. And of course, the emotional side of health creates the physical side of health. And people usually come to us with physical ailments, but we have to address that emotional side in order to see the change on the physical side. And the one thing that homeopathy does give you is that opportunity to learn more about how you react emotionally and physically to the environment that you live in.
One more thing that I can share with you, and this is because I kind of specialize in autoimmune conditions, all right? And so many chronic illnesses, even though they maybe not be autoimmune, they are governed by the autonomic nervous system.
Yes.
Okay. So I use that autonomic nervous system, if I can explain it to you like this. It is a way, like if in a computer, when your computer goes on the blink and it goes into safe mode, okay, it's protecting you. Okay, there's some virus there or something, and it goes into safe mode. You've got to address it before you can take it out of safe mode. And your autonomic nervous system is the same. It down-regulates everything so that you don't blow a fuse, you don't have a heart attack, etc. But modern medicine doesn't teach it. Oh, you've got this autoimmune condition. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep pumping the thyroid hormone. Let's just keep getting it up. You have to address those issues for the body to function at optimum. You've got to clear that exhaustion, the nutritional deficiency. You've got to look at causation. And in autoimmune conditions, autonomic nervous system disorders, I'm finding that it's more and more like you're talking about the emotions.
Yeah.
They've shut down the emotions from a trauma, and the body just won't go past that. And they've got to They've got to look at that. They've got to heal that. And unless you do homeopathy, I mean, you can do psychotherapy and it'll help to a small degree, but it won't hold. You're going to go back to that because that shock plants you in the form of the physiology. When you go into shock, your body adapts. Okay, now we're talking about the autonomic nervous system, right? That's what causes the adaptation. Okay, it's going to upregulate your cortisol. Okay, so that you don't feel the pain or the worry or the whatever. And now you're not regulating properly, and you have this thing going on. You have to get that autonomic nervous system to regulate properly. You have to release that stress and that trauma. So you would use the NATMers or the Ignatius or the Staphysagrias to release that that you're feeling. And then you can upregulate your autonomic nervous system and it can do its thing. You can get rid of your rheumatoid arthritis or your thyroiditis or so to speak, you know. One other thing is that your expectation in health. You know, we see doctors as these, I hope I'm not going to be seen as being a bit, this isn't disrespectful. You know, doctors, they know so much, they were like gods, okay? And they do know a lot. But if he gives you that diagnosis, so many people are, oh my God, I've got this rheumatoid arthritis, I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. I've got depression, I'm going to have to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life. You don't have to. Don't accept that. That's where you go into checking it out and researching and, oh, there's this thing called homeopathy. Yeah, let me try it out. And then you get into it. And you really open up your life. So you don't have to accept it. Keep moving forward, get your vital energy up, and your body, following the life force, will do what it's designed to do, and that is keep you in health. So that's a story. If I can give one, yes, go ahead.
If we can just help a few people just find out a little bit more whether homeopathy might be something that could help you address the cause of your ill health, then we've done a good job, I think, Anthony, haven't we? Because as you said, people go to the doctor, they're given a diagnosis, they're given a treatment plan, they're not given a choice. And everybody has a choice. So, you know, I hope that just by people listening to this, they understand that once you find out a little bit more about something else, then you have a choice.
You've got the power to make your decision. So make the right decision, and it's almost like your birthright to be healthy. Go and get it. Don't let anything stand in your way.
Exactly.
I want to give one or two cases, if I can, just a short case summary of basically what we've spoken about. Okay, and these are chronic cases. The one thing I'll say, these cases, the patients had lost hope, or maybe I would say they had fallen into that medical model where actually, you know, you're going to be stuck with this for the rest of your life, or it's going to be a difficult thing. Okay. So the first was a menopausal lady. She had I don't know, it was 15 or 20 years of this constant pressure, emotional stress, issues with her child and her grandchild, and she had built up a lot of anger. She felt like she was unheard and she felt blocked. And as a result, she was getting arthritic type symptoms in her hands and her wrists. And she was, the emotional aspect was she was feeling depressed. And this was going on. And she had tried homeopathy, but here's the crux. The homeopathy has to address the causative factor. If I'm looking at just the arthritis and the pain when I move my wrist, that's fair. But what caused all of that? The resentment that I had, or the anger that I had, or that I wasn't heard, or whatever. You've got to find the appropriate homeopathic remedy for that. And by God's grace, we found that, and she was incredibly open. And within 1 month, I was quite surprised when she had a follow-up. I thought, you know, okay, we would, especially in arthritic cases, because they can be really stubborn, or they've had a lot of suppression. Okay, I've taken the cortisones for a long time, or whatever it was, and in a month, emotionally, she was open. She was happy. She wasn't depressed. She still had the wristband. Okay, I said, don't even worry about that. That is a sign that we are just heading up like a rocket. And And I think that also increased her hope. So
Yeah.
we'll be seeing next time.
Confidence, a feeling.
That's it. If you believe that you're on the right path and that you're doing it, what does it do? It releases the endorphins in your body, and you sleep better. It's all a process. So that was really encouraging. And there, yes, there were hormonal deficiencies. When you're all very stressed, your cortisol goes up, which pushes your DHEA hormone down. So we gave her some homeopathic stimulation there, and we gave her some corticosteroid. Brilliant. Okay. But then the last case I want to share with you is that he was a 40-year-old man. He came in very stressed, overworking, and he had impotence. He couldn't perform properly. And 10 years prior, he had a heart attack. And I didn't know this initially, but that was working on his mind. And he said to me, the cardiologist said I better be careful. I might get another heart attack, etc., etc. And this had kind of gripped him literally. So whenever he'd get a twinge or a pain, he would go back to that fear. That emotion would grab him and throttle him. And so we started working and I found why. So I'm trying to look, why is he getting this heart attack? Why has he got this potential to get this heart attack? And he's on cholesterol drugs, the typical story, cholesterol drugs, statins, and blood pressure. And I see that he has, we checked his mouth. This is something typical that happens with the heart, is that he had a cavitation in his wisdom teeth. When he had his wisdom teeth removed, there was like an infection that was left there. And that caused the inflammation. And that's why his cholesterol was there. Your cholesterol rises when your body is overinflamed as a mechanism to help reduce inflammation. So once we had sorted this out, supported his adrenal glands, he was stressing too much. And he started the faith would come back. Okay. Yes, he came a few times, and I had to give him the talk, and we discussed it, and spoke about his fears. So it's also an outlet, okay? And it came out that actually his biggest joy or desire was to become a missionary, but he was going round and round in circles, and he couldn't get it right. And with all this talking and the homeopathic remedy and whatever you want to call it, this started to realize for him, and he was able to throw off that fear of getting a heart attack because I could show him physiologically now. Now I was against that cardiologist because the cardiologist said you were going to get this heart attack. I had to show him physiologically why he wasn't going to get that. And we did that, and you can't believe the weight that was lifted off of him.
Yes.
And so what we're saying, he was functioning optimally sexually. We did give him a course to balance his testosterone, but now what happens when you balance your testosterone? A man with testosterone is more confident, he's stronger, he's got more stamina. So whatever the fear or the worry that's going to come, he's going to just fob it off because he's got this balance. So you just got to keep pushing forward. Your health is possible. That's what I want to tell people.
Brilliant, brilliant. And that's the message that we need to get out there, isn't it? Is give your health a chance, because you can become healthy again. Brilliant. It's been so lovely talking to you, Anthony. Thank you so much for coming in today. I do hope we can do this again.
Mary, we definitely will. I'll get some inspiration for something else and we'll do another topic. Hey.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anthony de Pontes. It's so lovely talking to you. And it was really good just to talk about natural health, what it is, where it comes from, and just such an important topic. And in actual fact, we're going to continue that next week, talking about immunity, talking about maintaining health and the importance of you having responsibility for your health. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.